This is my story of how I finally stopped being an overachiever. It actually started when I went to a therapist for workplace related stress. I think it was about the second session where she really looked at me. She made eye contact through the virtual space and she said, "Who told you that you had to be perfect?" And I was like, "Ma'am." And it was in that moment that I didn't really like her, but I didn't say that because I'm also a recovering people pleaser. I really had thought that I had already worked through a lot of the things of perfectionism. When she said that, I was like, "Not you coming for me. I already worked on some of this, at least a little bit." Deep belief of having, when I was a child, those around me kind of put me on a pedestal, whether you say it was because I was a gifted or because I was high performing. That ultimately became a stressor later in life because there was way too much going on in my life and personal space to be perfect anymore. And so that's when it all began to break down. But there were really 3, 4-ish things that I was kind of doing to help me with that. And the first one is that I had to stop being hyper vigilant of every single thing that I was doing and saying. My anxiety and my stress, but it was also about me masking my ADHD symptoms of being forgetful, of being inattentive when I needed to really focus. And so I would really control that so I was able to be successful and get done what I needed to get done. And the only way to do that was to be hyper vigilant. And the second one is that I had to make more mistakes. And because I told myself I was no longer going to be hyper vigilant, I then naturally made more mistakes. And making more mistakes allowed me to cope with making the mistakes more. Normalize mistakes for myself. A lot of times I would have to self-soothe a lot. Like, I can't say that it wasn't a really triggering experience. And when I think about my career and like how I was navigating the workplace, and I had to just work through it. I'm not gonna make it sound easy. It was hard. So a couple of the ways that I normalized making those mistakes: stopped apologizing for things that were non-harmful mistakes. The second one is that I tried to then decenter this idea that I'm emotionally regulating others. I typically will do certain things or behave a certain way, anticipating how the other person will feel. And so in that case, I'm centering their feelings over mine. And so I had to stop doing that, which meant I wasn't as safe in the workplace because I wasn't bending to everyone else. And then the third thing is that I didn't fix non-critical mistakes, right? So if there was something that I did, an email went out, like a document happened, I just let it go. I just let the mistake be there, let the typo be there. I was okay with it. Again, if it was something like I scheduled something at the wrong time, or I didn't show up to do something, of course I'm going to fix those things. But again, it was normalizing mistakes. I left that job and I went to another job where I wanted to create this new dynamic of what it might mean to be unmasked. And I can't say I was totally unmasked. There were still things that I was being vigilant about. It's a journey. I had a new environment to kind of practice those things.